All right, folks, Yishai Fleisher here. The question that everybody's asking is how to stop those drones coming in from Hezbollah, right? We're not into clone wars. We're into drone wars. That's what's happening in this world. Drone wars. It happened big in Ukraine, Russia. Now it's here. Drone wars have arrived in Israel and the Jewish state, and Hezbollah's got them. How do we stop them? Okay, there's other issues on my mind right now, like the settler violence issue. Settler violence, we hear it everywhere. Is it real? Is there settler violence, or is it a hoax? Is it like just an exaggerated thing in order to besmirch the Jewish people? The other big thing that's on my mind is there's Aliyah, immigration to Israel events in New York, but pro-Palestine, so-called Palestine, anti-Israel folks are disrupting those events. I don't get it. Don't they want us to leave America? They don't want us to go anywhere. They hate us in America. They hate us coming to the land of Israel. Which is it? What do they want? And finally, is President Trump going to make Shabbat great again? He's asked American Jews to keep the Sabbath, one Sabbath, for America's 250th anniversary. Are they going to take up his challenge and keep the Sabbath and thereby fulfill some kind of biblical ancient promise, maybe a messianic promise? That's what's on my mind. And I want to ask the one person who I know can answer all these questions, and that's Hillel Fuld, who is a tech journalist, startup advisor, global speaker known for helping companies grow, telling Israel's story. He's been recognized by Forbes as one of the most influential voices online. He's worked for all the big companies from Google to Microsoft. But since October the 7th, almost 3 years ago, he shifted his focus from business to advocacy, dedicating himself full-time to defending Israel online and reaching billions. So Hillel Fuld, he's a very special individual, and he's out there rocking it. Hillel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, man. That intro. Wow, you're hired.
Listen, drones. I heard today on the news that there's these new kind of drones. They now come with fiber optic cables that can go like 5 kilometers, maybe 15 kilometers. These things explode. They're suicide drones. They're coming in from Hezbollah, and Israel's having an issue fighting with them. I heard that we're hiring 200 ultra-Orthodox soldiers to start building anti-drone drones. In short, we're in drone wars. What can you tell me about the drone wars?
Yeah, so for years, when people would ask me, what is the technology you're most excited about? Like, without even blinking an eye, the answer has always been drones, because you might not realize this. I mean, I've been a droney for many years. I have a collection of drones. Like, people have to understand this technology. This is a thing that fits in the palm of your hand, all right? Has obstacle avoidance in all 4 directions, actually on top and on bottom. It could fly tens of kilometers at 70, 80, 90 kilometers an hour. I'm talking about consumer drones, all right? This thing, I mean, it's connected to 19 satellites in space at any given moment. Wow. Crazy technology. In fact, I'm not one to call for regulation, but I always wonder how there's not more regulation. I mean, you could literally take a drone up to someone's window. I mean, it's crazy stuff. I have a drone license, like a pilot's license in Israel, but you could be pretty malicious with drones. And yeah, I guess it's no surprise to me or anyone else who's been paying attention that we have this new technology / weapon in this war. And, obviously it's not unique to us, like you said, in Ukraine and others. But the point is, I have to say, and I don't like throwing my own people under the bus, but it seems like we pulled another October 7th when it comes to drones, and we were just completely caught off guard and unprepared because, obviously what happened on October 7th is a much broader topic, but I think anyone who knows Israelis will agree that one of the issues, maybe not the issue, but one of the issues was that Israeli leadership said the famous Israeli words.
Smoke alai. You ever said that, right?
You ever said that, right?
Everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. To trust us. We got it in hand. Right. We got it taken care of.
So we're in Lebanon, and we're like, no, it'll be okay. It's like, dude, like they have these drones. This is serious, And so I met a guy today, literally 3 hours ago.
There was a guy killed yesterday, a Russian Jew, Israeli. He was killed by one of these drones. It basically dropped a bomb on him, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of experience. You've seen the videos in Ukraine about Russian soldiers being killed by these drones, right? We've seen these things. Yeah, so it's a serious threat.
I think it's important to just emphasize when we say drone, I mean, that's what, officially it's a drone, but like you have to this is like a flying bomb. I mean, it's nothing. Right. It's a flying bomb. That's what it is. And it's incredibly dangerous. I met someone today, a couple of hours ago, who, I got to tell you, as a Jew, I'm a Maimonides Jew. I'm very down to earth. I don't believe in the hocus pocus, but I met this guy today. If I didn't hear from him, I wouldn't believe it, where he was in Lebanon and one of these drones, Hezbollah drones, was fired at him. It landed right by his foot, blew up right by his foot. A soldier who was meters away, got blown like for 5 meters. It landed right by his foot, and he walked out without a scratch, like literal, like splitting of the sea. I don't understand how that happens, but that's besides the point. But the point is, I think they found the vulnerability, and they realized, like, these soldiers are sitting there like sitting ducks. And my kid's Samech Mempei, his officer, lost his arms and his legs from a drone.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's really, people have to realize this is terrifying stuff. And again, I with all the love and respect I have for Israel, our leadership in the army, I think we were caught off guard here. And that's something that's pretty tragic, again, after October 7th. But like you said, we are.
And you're talking about this as a tech guy. Like, we're supposedly tech forward, but you're saying we were caught unprepared for the forwardness of the enemy's technology.
Yeah, I think so. And again, I read what you read, and hopefully, we're developing something right now. And I got to tell you, like, for years, I was invited to meet like these secret, elite units who operate drones. And, it is a very complicated thing. Like, you have to understand, the leading drone company in the world by a long shot is DJI. DJI is Chinese. And if you keep those chips that DJI develops in the drone, in theory, they could monitor your every move. So the IDF has to use these drones made by DJI, because there's no one even close, but they have to like basically take out any chip, any Wi-Fi, anything that could communicate back to China. It's like the Chinese cars, right? This is dangerous stuff we're dealing with, but we better develop something quick, because this is happening 5-10 times a day. We don't realize it because it's not in the news, because it's not as, I don't know what you want to call it, as sexy as other things, but it's happening all the time. And this is coming directly from people in Lebanon. It's all the time. We really need to solve this problem.
Right. And I just want to make it clear that when I was talking about those umbilical cords, it just means that it doesn't have as much of a radio footprint, and therefore it's harder to nab or drop. I heard that they're arming soldiers with shotguns, with pellets, so they could blow these things out of the air, but that's an old technology. There's got to be some kind of visualization or electronic ability to knock things out of the sky. It's definitely a serious thing. And that term, drone wars, I think is a proper term. Okay, we have what we just talked about is a kinetic war against Israel, but there's also narrative war against Israel. And the narrative that's being weaved right now, we've heard it before, is that settlers are violent. I was speaking recently to a group. They asked me like 3 questions about settler violence. I said to them, have you heard about the Gaza genocide? They're like, yeah. I'm like, are we genociding? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, so there's a blood libel out there called genocide. Have you heard that we're bad to Christians? They're like, yeah. I'm like, is that true? No. So what is it? It's a blood libel. So I said the same thing when it comes to the settler violence narrative, but it's like out there everywhere. What I know you've been commenting on settler violence and that claim. What do you say about it?
All right, a few things to say. First of all, I got to give you major props. Okay, I don't remember which interview. It might have been on Pierce, if I'm not mistaken, where one of the psychos that he brings on the show basically made quote unquote accusations, and you're like, yeah, 100%. That's not a bad thing. Like, you just owned it. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
I don't even. So like, I read that. I watched that interview. I'm like, that right there should be exactly what all of us are doing. Like, yeah, 100%. For sure, this is what we're doing. And I'm proud of it. It's not a bad thing, and nobody else is doing that because we're apologizing. Speaking of the narrative, it's time to stop apologizing. That's number 1. Number 2, right before the show, I posted something that, again, you and I know, but it's worth mentioning. And that is, again, the accusations being made against Israel. If you go down the entire list, literally every single thing they're accusing us of is exactly what they're doing. Like, it's, I mean, again, I'll just read you a couple of things. Sexual violence. I mean, yeah. Starvation. We're starving there. Like, have you seen the hostages, what they looked like when they came out? Genocide. Yep. Like, do you know what they did on October 7th? Apartheid. Have you ever tried to enter an Arab town in Judea and Samaria with that red sign? Indiscriminate killing, murdering babies, getting paid to spread propaganda. That's us, really? Like, the list is super long. Religious extremism, human shields, targeting civilians, silencing dissent, weaponizing misinformation, turning hospitals and schools into military sites. It just goes on and on. If you want to know what the enemies of Israel are guilty of, look what they're accusing us of. And it's literally, it's crazy stuff.
So wait, so somebody says to you, what about settler violence?
Right. So we're going to summon our close brother and friend, my late brother Ari Fuld, who you were very close with. And I think, people ask me all the time, what's his legacy? I think if I had to choose one legacy, it's that he had a zero tolerance policy for lies. And I got to say, even I'm guilty sometimes of using certain terminology just because it's easier to use, even though I know I shouldn't be using those words, right? Like the West Bank, it's called Judea and Samaria. Like Palestinians, they're called Jordanians, right? And the list is long. But the one that I think gets on my nerves more than any of them is settler violence. So let's just say it as it is, all right? First of all, let's stop using the word settler. You can't be a settler in your own home, all right? These are Jews living in Judea, like where we came from, hence Jews, okay? So let's just stop calling them settlers. Let's start with that. 2, violence, Jewish terrorism, all these terms that people love to use, it's a clear deflection. Any psychologist will see that. But the reality on the ground is, are there certain criminals that do things that you and I wouldn't do in Judea and Samaria? 100%. Does that understand? Like if someone, I'm going to give a little bit of an extreme example, but stick with me here. If someone rapes someone in Tel Aviv, do you call them a Tel Aviv rapist? Like, what does the fact that they live in Tel Aviv have anything to do with it? They're a criminal, period, full stop, end of story. They're not a Tel Aviv rapist. They're not a Jerusalem robber. They're a robber. So what does it even mean? Are there violent people in Judea and Samaria? Are there criminals? Yeah, like there are criminals anywhere. Calling them settler violence is by definition just a falsehood and a fabrication. The fact that they are quote unquote settlers living in their homeland in Judea and Samaria has a zero relevance to the fact that they're violent. So they're not, it's not settler violence.
Well, I guess criminal. they would say to you, they shouldn't be there, and they're fighting through an ideology to hold on to this land that they've stolen, and therefore that's why it's settler violence, because it's a shita, and we say in Hebrew a what's the word I'm looking for?
Method.
A method, exactly. There's a method here. They're trying to ethnically cleanse the Arabs. They weave a whole tale through this, right?
Right. But that shouldn't come as a surprise to you or me. I mean, at the end of the day, like when your entire identity is based on a lie from day one, then the lies keep piling up. I mean, again, we don't have to get into this, but 1964, the Palestinian liberation, what was he liberating? There was no occupation in 1964. What was Arafat liberating? And if he was the father of the Palestinian people, he was born in Cairo. Like, what are we even talking about here, right? So the entire identity of the Palestinian people from day one in their charter, they didn't want a state. They had a state before we had a state. 1947, they said no. They didn't want to. The whole thing's a lie. So when your entire identity from day one's a lie, the lies keep piling up, and this is just another one of their lies. Settler violence. It's not a thing. It's just not a thing.
Today, a guy named what's the guy's name? Trevor. Somebody. He was kicked out. What's that? What's his name? No, Olivier. That guy.
Yeah, the YouTuber.
Right. So he landed in Israel, got kicked out. And I thought that was great. You know, I thought it's great. We have to kick these guys out. But in general, he's American, right? Or what is he, that guy? I don't know. The point is that Europeans, there is a lot of European money that and provocateurs that come to Israel and actually flame. Give wind to the flame, stoke the flame of anti-Israel, so-called Palestinianism or Arab, you call them Jordanians, violence, and they stoke it. Today, the state of Israel finally took a step not to allow a stoker to come into the land. They've let way too many of them, and too many of them are hanging out, especially in the South Hebron Hills, making a lot of trouble. The state of Israel's got to take a step. And I tell them, look, when I hear anybody even talk about settler violence, I'm like, first thing is it's hugely exaggerated. Second thing, what you said is that, yeah, there's some kids that make trouble. Good. It's a police matter. It's not a settler matter. It's a matter, as you said, it's a criminality. Good, deal with it. But thirdly, get rid of the people who really stoke the violence. That's the Europeans. They make a lot of trouble out here.
That's right. I got to tell you, I was very upset yesterday because when that happened, one of my WhatsApp groups with a lot of Israel advocates, one person was fighting the fight of Israel should not have done that. Israel should let him in. What are we hiding? This and that. And I'm like, dude, you're talking to someone who was blocked from coming in Australia because of my tweets. How come the entire world, America, Australia, England, is okay blocking people who are anti their country? But when it comes to Israel, no, let them in. We let Tucker Carlson in. He just made up a blatant blood libel that he was detained in Ben Gurion Airport. Too bad we had video of him hugging the staff. But like, haven't we learned our lesson? Why are we giving these people a stage? Why are we letting them? I mean, he's not coming in here for any reason other than to spread anti-Semitism. Why are we lending a helping hand to that? So the fact that there are people that are upset about this, it's again just it's a long list. Perfect example of a double standard. The whole world's okay with it. But when Israel does it, oh no. What kind of crap is that? Of course we shouldn't let him into our country. The guy's coming here to cause us damage. That's right. Crazy.
That's right. And by the way, it's fine. He's gone. Bye. Like, and no bad video came out. Just go get a life. Go work on other issues.
I just want to sum up this topic because I want to be very, very clear. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Settler violence, aka / Jewish terrorism. I'm going to say this as clear and unequivocally as I can. It is not a thing. I'm going to repeat that. Settler violence is not a thing. Are there criminals who are violent in Judea and Samaria? Yes. Settler violence is not a thing because they're not settlers and they're not violence in the name of Judaism or anything like that. They're criminals. Okay, so and what you just said is very important also. Even if you want to call it that, call it whatever you want. We're talking about what? A couple of hundred people versus 300 million Islamists in the world. And we're talking about this and they're getting sanctioned. Like right. The world is literally backwards. It's wild.
Okay, so this leads me to another topic which you've commented on. In Brooklyn, not very far away from where I oftentimes hang out in order to connect with American Jewry and bring support. In Brooklyn, there was recently an Aliyah fair. The word Aliyah means going up, literally, but figuratively what it means is ascending, moving to the land of Israel, moving to the land of immigration to the land of Israel. Everybody knows there's an ingathering of the exiles. It's happening. Jewish people are coming home. Brooklyn has maybe 800,000 Jews living there. It's it maybe is the heart of American Jewry. And now there are these Aliyah fairs there. I have some video of protesters, haters of Israel, so-called pro-Palestine, progressives, anti-Semites, trying to disrupt this Aliyah fair in Brooklyn. Check this out. So you see there, it's really out of control, Hillel, and they're bullying us, they're threatening us, but I don't get it, Hillel. I thought that they're not happy with us because we're in too much control in America. These same forces, like, what do they want from us? Now they don't want us to stay, they don't want us to leave. What do they want from us? They want us to go into gas chambers? What's the deal?
Yeah, no, it goes much deeper. I mean, the hypocrisy is out of control, and we're so used to like the lies and the hypocrisy, we don't even notice it. But let me just point something out to you that maybe I'm assuming you've thought of, but it's worth repeating. What's their biggest claim? And we call them anti-Semites. I'm not an anti-Semite. I only hate Zionists. I'm an anti-Zionist. Okay, right. So you don't hate all Jews. You just hate Zionists. Then tell me why you are freaking harassing and assaulting and murdering Jews on the streets of America, England, without even, maybe these people have never been in Israel. Are they even Zion? You don't know. All you know is that they're Jewish. They're wearing Jewish garb, so you're attacking them. I thought you didn't hate Jews, right? So
okay, but that's the folks that are attacking Jews in the streets. But now this is specifically an Aliyah fair. Okay,
yeah,
we're making Zionists out there, right? That's the realest Zionism of them all, right? There's great support for Israel, that's Zionist, but like this is the big Zionism is when an American Jew decides to leave America and to come join us in the struggle and in the glory of the rebuilding of the Jewish Commonwealth here in the land of Israel. Right. What's going on out there?
You see this stuff, and listen, like I said, I don't like throwing our own under the bus, but I sound like a broken record, man. What on earth are the Jewish people in the diaspora waiting for? What in the world has to happen? And I'm going to say it again. Again, I said it on the last time we spoke, and I'm going to say it again because it's worth repeating. If you looked at the list of things, look at the entire list of things that happened before the Holocaust that led up to the Nuremberg laws. Okay, I'm not talking about once the Nuremberg laws came out and anti-Semitism was institutionalized, because that was already the point of no return. But what led up to that? Jews being hunted on the streets? Check. Jewish businesses being boycotted? Check. Synagogues being vandalized? Check. Jews being harassed? Jewish homes being windows shattered? Jews being assaulted and murders? Anti-Semitic symbols everywhere you look? Anti-Semitic politicians rising to power? And the list just goes on. Every single thing that happened before the Holocaust that you and I asked, how did they not leave? How did they not read the writing on the wall? Now we see the exact same things happening. Exact, one for one, copy paste. And what do the American Jews say? It won't happen here. But really?
But what do you say?
Happening?
But what do you say to people like the very respected and friend of mine, Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg, who from Boca Raton Synagogue, who says that he doesn't like Aliyah snobbery?
I
He
love
doesn't
it
like
from-
being talked down to.
Okay.
And just to make the case, I just want to make the case. He says, there's a part of me that subscribes to it in part, which is you come to America, these people are smart. They're smart Jews. They're smart. They're successful. They've done their thing. Yeah, I don't have to tell them exactly what they should and shouldn't do. I understand what you're saying. You're trying to save lives. I get it. But he says, I don't need your snobbery. I'll make my decisions. And of course, let's make it clear. Boca Raton Synagogue sends tons of support and buys apartments in Israel, and most importantly, sends their kids to college in Israel and to be lone soldiers. So they're putting their money where their mouth is, but they say, Hillel, don't be an Aliyah snob. What's your answer to that?
So first of all, disclaimer, very important disclaimer. I love Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg. I listened to his lessons. I responded to this podcast that you're referencing. But before I tell you what I told him, it was a 13-minute voice note I sent him. But before I tell you what I said to him, I just want to say that not only is everything that you said true, how much they encourage it, but 12 families from Boca Raton are making Aliyah this summer. So he puts his money where his mouth is. Okay, I got to get that's first of all. Second of all, and I'm only comfortable saying this because I said it to him. He's a human being. I love him. He's a Torah giant. He's an amazing person, amazing friend. I love him. Nothing to say bad about him. But he's also a human being. And perhaps, and again, I said this to him, maybe there's just a little bit of confirmation bias, just a little bit. I'm here in Boca. I'm living the life. I don't want I want my congregation to pick up and leave. And so I'm saying enough with the Aliyah snobbery. No, maybe it's time that we did what we couldn't do in Germany and open the eyes of Jews and tell them what we're seeing happen on the ground, objectively speaking. And maybe we should not be so worried about angering people. Yeah, it's not pleasant to hear that you are, according to the Gemara and Ksubis, an idolater who's bowing down to idols because you don't live in Israel. It's not pleasant to hear that the Ramban says you're not even keeping the Torah. It's not pleasant to hear Rav Kanievsky say that a street cleaner in Israel is more righteous than a Rosh Yeshiva in America. It's not pleasant. Me living in Boca and Woodmere and Lawrence and Lake, it's not pleasant. But it's the fact of the matter is 80% of the Jews stay back in Egypt, and the leaders of the generation, the biggest rabbis, the 10 spies, God said, go in. They're like, we'll stay here in the desert where we're very religious. And God's like, you don't get it. It's not your job to stay in Lakewood. Get into the state. Get into the land. They're like, we're going to stay here. It's the same narratives we're repeating over and over and over again in every generation. So it's not pleasant to hear that. And I get it. I understand it. And I love Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg, but I think he's dead wrong. I think, listen, if I could convince someone to come here because Israel is a phenomenal country across however you want to measure it, great. But I think it would be irresponsible of me, who has a large platform, to not use that platform to tell Jews to wake the hell up, because we couldn't do that. Nobody could do that with my grandmother and tell her, listen, Esther, look around you. It's happening. And nobody could tell her. So she stayed and everyone else stayed and 6 million died. I'm not going to sit around and say, I could see what's happening, but I don't want to insult anyone. So I'm just going to be all night. No. I'm done with the political correctness. Get your butt on a plane. And you know what else? Again, I'm gonna make enemies here, and I'm okay with that, because I've had probably 50 people come to me in the last year and say I made Aliyah because of you. So I'm okay with offending people. But the reality is that no matter how you want to look at it, you want to look at our prayers, you want to look at the Torah, you want to look at the Torah giants throughout the generation. However you want to look at it, a Jew belongs in Israel. Now, does that mean that any Jew doesn't get on a plane tomorrow is a sinner? Of course not. Everyone has circumstances, and you need to do it at the right time. But as a collective, the Jewish people need to come home. Furthermore, those that have an exit strategy and a plan and say, I could come when my kids are finished with high school, fantastic. Those that say, I'm not coming in. This is my home in Lakewood, in Tom's. Those people, I'm not going to even finish that sentence. That I judge straight up. A person like that is just repeating literal mistakes that we made in the Torah that never made sense to me. How did 80% stay back after the 10 plagues? God said go, and they're like, no, we're going to stay. How is that possible? What do you think they told themselves? Of course they told themselves, I'm Egyptian. I was born here. My parents were born here. My grandparents. I'm not leaving. We got to stay here and fight. Egypt is the strongest empire. We got to lobby. It's all the stuff that the Jews are saying today. It's the same crap that they told themselves back then. They're telling themselves today. It's tragic to watch. And I'm sorry, Rabbi. I love you, and he knows that. I said it to him, but now's not the time to be nice. Now's the time to speak truth. And the writing is on the wall. I'm just reading it out loud.
Right. I think the point that I would make is that it's incumbent upon us here in Israel to do two things. One is to speak in such a way that they could feel the love, meaning to say it's full invitation. It's a loving invitation. It's a brotherly and sisterly invitation. They got to feel and see it on our face that we're talking not from a place of gotcha, of I know better than you, I see better than you, I'm smarter than you. It's from a place of I love you, my brother and sister. I want you to be successful. I want you to live, and I want you to be my neighbor, and I'm going to do everything to make you comfortable. And that's point number 2 I want to make, which is it's also our job to make it a little bit easier. Our beloved country, which we love so much, we're crazy about, could have an easier banking system, could have an easier way to test your cars, could have an easier way to do stuff. It's the best it's ever been. And yet we could still, chisel out ways to make it a little bit easier and smoother to make our brothers and sisters make that transition without a question. Do you agree to those points?
You know who can make those changes? People.
Those guys?
Here.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So when you sit in America on your couch in Woodmere and say, oh, Israel has this problem and that problem. Pardon my French. Who the hell are you to sit on your couch in Woodmere and criticize us? You think we have problems? Get on a plane. Is there not a mitzvah? Lo tamar adam re'echa? Forget milchemes mitzvah. Let's just say this is not a mitzvah war and every Jew has to forget that. Put that aside, even though it is. But put that aside. You're standing there complaining about Israel while your brothers and sisters are risking their lives, our children, and dying, and you're sitting there complaining. Get the hell on a plane, and you don't have a right to talk. You send your money. We appreciate your money. I'm not saying that sarcastically, but you have no right to criticize. You have a problem with Israel's bureaucracy. You have a problem with, I am in a complete agreement with you. Get on a plane and come fix it. Don't complain from back there.
Okay. You spoke about Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg. You said that he was a Torah giant. So speaking of Torah giants, President Trump. Now, I want to tell you, I have come to a simple realization about this man. And this also may make enemies. This may shock people. But I've come to a very simple realization. He is a righteous person. I don't care what his background is. I don't care if you like the way he speaks or not. And the reason I judge him to be righteous is because I have an incredibly tight and small way of judging that, which is people who want to shrink Israel are our enemies, and people who want to grow Israel are our allies and friends. This man wants to grow Israel militarily, economically, land-wise as well. He wants Israel to grow. I could see it. He's done that. And I could see that the enemies see that as well. That's why I judge him to be righteous. And out of nowhere, in a speech that he gave, he started talking about the Jews of America keeping Sabbath as a type of gift to America, celebrating 250 years this July 4th. Let's check out a video of a rabbi talking about President Trump and his request of Jews to keep the Sabbath. Check this out.
This is something unbelievable, next level stuff. You would have to, if you told somebody 50 years ago or 1,000 years ago that this was going to happen, they'd think you're out of your mind. The most powerful person in the world, the president of the United States of America, has requested that the Jewish people observe the Shabbat this week from sundown on May 15th, Friday, until nightfall on Saturday, May 16th, 2026. This is coming from the office of the most powerful person in the world, from the most powerful elected official in the world. This is an unbelievable validation of our people that our people have never experienced. I want you to think of Moses facing Pharaoh. I want you to think of Abraham facing Nimrod. I want you to think of King David facing the anti-Semitic, anti-Israel nations around him. I want you to think of every Jew. I want you to think of the Baal Shem Tov facing the Russian leaders. I want you to think of the Alter Rebbe facing the Tsar. I want you to think of any Jewish person in history that comes to mind and the anti-Semitic monarch or president or leader that they were facing. I want you to think of the previous Rebbe facing Hitler. And we are facing a president of the United States that says, Jews, please keep Shabbos. Think about this. This is unprecedented. This is unbelievable. We can't take this sitting down.
Okay, so there now rabbis are backing President Trump's idea. Like, I don't know where he came up with this. Is it his daughter? Is it David Friedman? I don't know where he came. Is it Pence or Pompeo or one of his old allies? Is it Pete Hegseth? Who believes in the third temple? I don't know who put in this idea in his head about keeping the Sabbath. Of course, there's the famous phrase by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai who said that if the Jewish people keep 2 Sabbaths, that's already the Messianic period. What do you think about President Trump's request for Jews to keep the Sabbath?
You remember the old
and to make Sabbath great again.
Remember the old Mordechai ben David song?
Just one Shabbos and we'll all be free.
Yeah. So I think, I think this is. I don't know what other word to use to describe the person who, I mean, the most powerful man in the world. Let's just say it as it is, calling for Jews to keep Shabbos. I don't know what other word to use other than messianic, right? I mean, if that's not messianic, then what is, right? And yeah, I mean, listen, I might push back a little bit on your definition of righteous. I do think based on his behavior until now, he is clearly a friend of ours and will hopefully remain. But I have some questions, not for now, but what is going on with Iran? Does he chicken out? What's going on right now? I don't really know. And pushing Bibi into a corner and saying Israel's prohibited from attacking. Some things have some question marks in my head, but not for now. But there's no question. Obviously, he's the best friend we've ever had in the White House. But when I saw him,
that's saying a lot, right there, right?
Sure,
I mean, he has led Prime Minister Netanyahu strike at Iran. Netanyahu's been waiting for 25 years to strike at Iran.
No, there's no question.
And he did it.
Tremendous gratitude to President Trump. I don't know if I use the word righteous, but that's a topic for another time. Either way, I'll take that upon myself. I'll take that on my. When I saw him call for Jews to keep Shabbos, I was like, what did I just see? Messianic times. I mean, and I think, it shouldn't, to you and I, it's not a surprise that I'm saying that there were messianic times because there's 1,000 different signs out there. But the reality is, like, every time something like this happens, and this was the first time he did this, but other things that have happened throughout the war, you're like, oh my God, like even the Abraham Accords, like what is happening right now? Like even the Gulf countries literally fighting alongside Israel. Like what? If I told you that 5 years ago, you would have said, get off the drugs, man. Like it's crazy, right? So, I think really Hashem is making it abundantly clear that he's got our backs and that we're at the finish line. I want to say one more thing as it pertains to the last topic. Again, I don't know if I said this to you last time, but I think it's
which topic?
About Aliyah, and about kibbutz galuyos and everything that we described in gathering of the exile.
About immigration to Israel and the ingathering of the exiles. Yeah,
right. So we all are familiar with the story of the man in the storm who gets on the roof and says, "God will save me up here," and the water starts approaching, and they send a boat, and they say, "Get in the boat." He says, "No, God will save me up here," and he send a helicopter. Get in the helicopter. He says, "No, God will save me up here," and then he drowns, and he goes to God. He says, "I don't understand. I believed in you. Why didn't you save me?" And God says, "I didn't save you. I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. You didn't get on. What do you want from me?" After 120 years, our friends and family in the diaspora, who, again, I love, and, they're going to go up to Hashem and say, "God, I really don't understand. I prayed for the ingathering of the exiles for thousands of years. Why didn't you bring me home?" You know what God's going to say? "I didn't bring you home? Are you insane? I brought you elal.com. I brought you nefesh b'nefesh. I made Israel paradise. I made it infinitely easier to make Aliyah than it's ever been. You still didn't get the message. So I sent you Mamdani. Like, what else could I have done? You simply didn't get on the helicopter."
Or in Belgium, they've now made a circumcision illegal, ritual slaughtering illegal. You can't live there.
I mean, you can't. Again, Hashem's going to say you were in your house in Borough Park where you thought you were so frum.
Buddha Park. And
I told you to leave your house so you could see what's going on outside your door, and you still didn't get the message. What do you want from me? So that to me is the truth. And again, like I agree with you. We have to bring them from a place of love and welcoming, and that is how I feel. We should bring them. We need them. They need us. True. That being said, unfortunately, that's not a strong enough, compelling enough of a message for millions of Jews even to come here. So, I think it's time they open their eyes and realize it's happening again right in front of their eyes, and they need to read the writing.
Hashem is doing great things. We talked about 4 things. We talked about the drone wars, and you said that Israel's been a little bit slow, but we're going to catch up. We're going to use that technological mindset to defend Israel, and Hashem's going to help us defend our borders. We talked about the hoax of settler violence. Instead, really, the truth is the Jewish people are building Judea and Samaria, pushing back on land grabbing by Arab, Jordanian, so-called Palestinians who want to be violent and destroy our presence. We talked about Aliyah coming from the diaspora to the land of Israel, being ingathered in this great and awesome godly thing called the ingathering of the exiles and the rebuilding of Jerusalem, the rebuilding of this land, the most beautiful thing on earth. And it's the dross of this world, the darkness wants to stop this light from coming out. And finally, we talked about President Trump making Shabbat great again. Hillel Fuld, you are a warrior for God and a teacher to millions, billions. And we want to really thank you for all that you do out there. You're a tech journalist, a startup advisor, worked for all the big companies, now continuing to speak around the world. And people can follow you here below. People can see the way to follow you throughout all platforms. I want to thank you so much and wish you continued blessings and strength, and also wish you a happy Jerusalem Day. The reunification of Yom Yerushalayim, Jerusalem Day. Jerusalem Day is actually named in the Psalms. And so we're celebrating now the reunification and the rebuilding, the most masterful, beautiful thing in the world, the building of Yerushalayim. So happy Yom Yerushalayim, and happy Shavuot to you as well, the festival of weeks, so-called Pentecost, the receiving of the Torah. May we receive the Torah in joy in Yerushalayim.
I'll just, if I may, if you're in Israel, go to the Western Wall and you will be met with a massive face of my late brother Ari, Rabbi Fleisher's good friend. And it's there every year for Yom Yerushalayim, which is, I can't help but wonder what my grandmother would have said had I told her in Auschwitz that when you go to the Western Wall, the state of Israel, your grandson, his face is plastered. She wouldn't even know how to calculate. So incredible stuff happening.
Wow. That is amazing. God bless the memory of Ari Fuld. Hillel Fuld, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, folks, you are watching Yishai Fleisher TV. Thank you so much for being with us. What a zchut, what a merit it is to be with Hillel Fuld. He's doing amazing work out there, and definitely follow him. Check out his social media. It's explosive. And help us build the land of Israel. BuildIsrael.com is the way to build the land of Israel together. Me, you, and the God above. BuildIsrael.com. Also help us strengthen this show. Another way to help strengthen the show is buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. Together, we will make God's name great again. You can follow me and connect, like, comment, subscribe at Yishai Fleisher TV on YouTube or on the internet, yishai.tv. God bless you, folks, wherever you are. Happy Jerusalem Day. Happy ingathering of the exiles. It's all happening, and you're a part of it wherever you are. Lots of love from the land of blessings. God bless you wherever you are, and shalom.